it's going to be our privilege to induct our newest member, Dan Filburn. So if Dan and his sponsor, Mike Swain, would come up along with Evan McCauley.
We're going to actually have you go by the podium.
All right. Mike, thank you for bringing Dan along into the club, and Evan as co-chair of the membership. Thank you for your efforts to help introduce Dan to the club. Dan, on behalf of the board and membership of the Rotary Club of Hudson, it's my great pleasure to welcome you as the newest member of our club. We look forward to the fellowship that we will share, as well as your participation in many club projects that make our community, country, and world a better place in which to live. Rotary is an organization of business and professional people pledged to uphold the highest ethical and moral standards. Rotarians believe that worldwide fellowship and peace can be achieved when business people unite with the Rotary motto of service above self. Rotary activities exemplify the charity and sacrifice that one would expect from people who believe they have a responsibility to help others. Dan, you have been chosen for membership in the Rotary Club of Hudson because your fellow members believe you to be a leader in our community, and because you possess the qualities to champion the message and principles of Rotary. You now become an ambassador of Rotary, carrying the ideals of service to all within your sphere of influence. Our community will know and judge Rotary by your character and service. We will also look to you for inspiration as we strive to become better Rotarians ourselves. We now ask your sponsoring Rotarian to vest you with a distinguishing badge of a Rotarian, your Rotary pin, and name badge.
I've got a name badge. Get it? There we go. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Dan, we ask that you wear your Rotary pin with pride.
Okay.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Evan.
And now, Dan, if you'd like to take a couple of minutes and introduce yourself to the club and tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. As I was telling some folks at the table, last night about 11:15, I woke up from my nap at the chair in front of the TV and said, hey, I've got to do this. So I sat down and wrote out as brief a history as I can. So thank you. You know my name is Dan. It's a pleasure to have this opportunity to talk to you. My family and I moved to Hudson 31 years ago when I was transferred by my employer, ExxonMobil, to Akron from Houston, Texas. We were attracted to Hudson by the feeling of community here, as well as all the benefits that Hudson has, and it continues to get even better. Lynn, my wife of 48 years, and I have 2 children, John and Jamie, and we're blessed with 5 healthy grandchildren, ages 6 through 12. Our daughter and 3 children live in Silver Lake, and John lives with 2 children in Frederick, Maryland. I'm a graduate of Penn State as a chemical engineer and also have an MBA from Rutgers. And my career with ExxonMobil spanned 40 years. I began working in research, followed by sales, international marketing, chemical plant management, numerous sales and marketing jobs, all with the synthetic rubber division. And I finished my career as a global sales manager for our major synthetic rubber products. Following retirement, I returned to ExxonMobil as a consultant and managed a new product venture for several years. And both Lynn and I grew up in western Pennsylvania, so from Texas, this was like coming home. Lynn and I graduated from the same high school class, and yes, we dated in high school. And by the way, my first Rotary meeting was in Connellsville, Pennsylvania, as a high school student when I was the student of the month. And I blew the final speech big time. I grew up as a Steeler fan. However, I've converted to a Browns fan. But I'll be honest, I revert to the Steelers once it's very clear that the Browns' season is hopeless. I remain a Penn State football fan, which can be difficult around here. My outside interests are travel, all kinds of reading, physical fitness, and I play at golf. We spend several months of the year at our home in South Carolina, although not all winter. We go back and forth because we have family here. When in Hudson, I start every Monday morning at a men's Bible study at 6:30 and have a strong belief in God. Also, when I am here, I enjoy delivering mobile meals, and I do that a couple of times a week, both in Cuyahoga Falls and in Twinsburg. My interest in Rotary is a desire to become more connected to the community after years of extensive travel when I didn't have that opportunity. It is also nice to become acquainted with names and faces of people I've seen in town throughout the years. Being able to participate in a service organization is also important. I look forward to getting to know you all, working with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. And obviously, you're deeply engaged in service to the community already, so we'll look forward to your participation. We don't have a 3-minute Rotarian today. Next week, the 3-minute Rotarian will be Ben Rexroad. And we're getting down, so we'll draw a name for 2 weeks out. Phil Warburton, will you be here in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, next up, Ed Sogan asked for a couple of minutes for some announcements.
Next week is Fine Day, so again, bring your dollars. The last time we had Fine Day, we had a very generous collection of over $300, and we are using that money for Jimmy's notebooks, his journals, his writing journals for the third graders at McDowell School. As most of you remember, Jimmy wrote in his journal every day for 60 years, and his family is very pleased that we are honoring Jimmy. There will be, George Smuts is again putting a label in with the student's name, our Rotary Club, and in memory of Jimmy Sutphin in each one of the notebooks. So we're happy that we're continuing that legacy for Jimmy. Also, just a couple of things in regards to some announcements. This Friday night at 7 o'clock, Hudson Football will be hosting Canton McKinley at Memorial Stadium. So if you want to see a good football game, you can turn out for that one. In the paper today, on page 6 and 7, there are a couple announcements in the hub in regards to some upcoming events. On Saturday, we will have our 4th annual Family Fun Night. It's called a Back to School Bash. It is scheduled for Memorial Stadium. If we have rain, it will be at the middle school from 5:30 to 7:30. Kids pay, parents are free. It's an activity for preschool kids and elementary students, and it gives them an opportunity to use Memorial Stadium in a fun way, so we're looking forward to that. And also, we have our Hall of Fame, our Athletic Hall of Fame coming up on September 23rd and 24th. It is on page 6 of the paper, and it gives you the information in regards to getting tickets for the event. We will announce and introduce the Hall of Fame members for the class of 2016 at the football game, pregame at about 20 minutes to 7. So we're looking forward to that event, and hopefully, again, you'll attend the football game. If you'd like to get tickets for that, the information is there. You can get a hold of me. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Ed. And of course, Our Hudson Explorers are 2-0, so they'll be taking on Canton McKinley, trying to make it 3-0. Second game, I guess, was better than the first. So today's speaker introduction, Joe Avella. Joe?
No, it's an extensive bio, so I will cut it down. Yes. Today we begin our September speaking series on leadership, and we're pleased to have with us today Kevin Smith. Kevin is the founding director of the Institute for Leadership Advancement at the College of Business at the University of Akron. This institute was started with a $1 million grant from the J.M. Smucker Company, and in 2012, Kevin was recruited from Ohio University to come to the University of Akron and start that leadership. In his 3 years in this role, Kevin has developed a corporate advisory board, a faculty steering committee, a number of leadership courses, and leadership identity development. In addition to this role, Kevin speaks to a number of companies of all sizes, nonprofits, organizations, and universities throughout the United States. These companies include Walmart, Sterling Jewelers, the Smucker Company, Cox Media, Hilton Hotels, the U.S. Army, as well as various executive associations and national conferences. Since 2007, Kevin estimates he has spoken to some 45,000 business leaders, students, and other people. So without further ado, Kevin Smith.
Well, good morning. Good morning. And thank you for having me here this morning. And first, thank you for all the good work that you do in our community. I'm actually looking to join our own Rotary in Akron, Ohio, where I first cut my teeth speaking to Rotaries when I came to Akron about 4 years ago. In fact, I need to update my bio. We're heading into our 5th year at the University of Akron, and it's been a really good experience for us to do these things with this $1 million gift from the Smucker Company. And so I will also invite you today to ask me any questions that you might have about the state of the University of Akron as well. We've been in the paper a lot in this past couple of years, and I think it's something that, you know, if you work there, if you're a student there, you really didn't realize much was going on. There wasn't a whole lot happening with us, but there was a heck of a lot happening in the newspapers. But I think that opportunities like this, when I get to go out there and talk to people and publicly address what we do at the university, is also a good opportunity for people to have a dialogue and ask questions about what's going on, because otherwise you have one source unless you know people that work in the university. And sometimes that's not always a good thing. So I'm inviting anyone to ask questions about the University of Akron, the College of Business, or the Institute for Leadership, because we are located in the College of Business. And we were started 4 years ago, heading into our 5th year, when the J.M. Smucker Company, they have a few alumni that are at the C-suite level. And they decided that they didn't have a good presence in the College of Business. Now, our College of Business, we're nationally ranked. We're in the top 100 colleges of businesses in the U.S. I think we actually improved our rankings by about 14 or 15 last year alone. Our enrollment has never, ever been better at our college right now. In fact, even despite an enrollment decline at the university overall, our credit hour ratio is up. That means that more students are taking business courses. So we might be pulling from students in arts and sciences, music education, because we now have minors and certificates for students of all majors. So an engineer can get a pre-MBA, an engineer can get a pre-engineering business minor. A salesperson can also get a major in fine arts. So we try to do those things to make sure that every student is more employable, and that's ultimately what we try to do. We're also one of the only colleges of businesses, we're in the top 2% of college of businesses in the entire world that are accredited with 2 accreditations from the AACSB, which is the accrediting bureau of all the great colleges of businesses that you've heard of in the U.S. And so we have one for our School of Accountancy and one for our College of Business, and we're up for reaccreditation this next year and last year. 4 years ago when I first started, we were accredited with the best practices, which is the highest standard they can give us for corporate connections, meaning that because of the area, because of the environment that we're situated in, we are able to connect with our business leaders more. We have over 400 people in the C-suite level that are graduates of the College of Business Administration from the the University of Akron that are in Northeast Ohio. It's a pretty nice number, but it's even better because our students are beneficiaries of that. In fact, the former CIO of Smucker's just retired, and now he's an executive in residence in our college, along with Tony Alexander, the former CEO of First Energy, Sandra Pianalto, the former CEO of the Fourth Federal Reserve Bank up in Cleveland. And these people are all up in our 4th floor. Myers Industries, Steve Myers is on our 4th floor. And it's really neat to see our students get to interact with these folks because they have no idea who they are. They have no idea what they've done in their careers. They have no idea what their stock portfolios are worth because the people that are up there don't even talk about it. They don't act like it. It's a very realistic environment for them, and they teach them about what you can do about the good in the world by doing business instead of what business can do in terms of your financial wealth. I think that's, he who serves best profits most. The principle is very alive and well in our college, and our mission is to develop ethical and responsible business leaders, and that's what we do. My background, though, is not at all in business. Ironically, I came here. Anyone here in Norwalk, Ohio? Really? You've seen it? You didn't pass it? Yeah, so Cedar Point, Norwalk, Ohio, I'm actually a Norwalk trucker. I was born and raised in Norwalk. I'm the first person in my family to go to college. In fact, going to college for me was an absolute accident. I was in 6th grade and I started playing the trumpet because you had to play an instrument. If anyone ever had to play an instrument by force, you know what I'm talking about. And so they made me play the instrument, the trumpet, and I only chose the trumpet because I was that lazy. I saw it had 3 keys. The saxophone was a cool instrument. The saxophone would have been perfectly good because it was actually cool. You could wear sunglasses while you play it. You can imagine just how in your 6th grade in your head you think you're just going to get like some more girlfriends because you play a saxophone. But no, it looked too complicated, so I played the trumpet instead. Ended up, I liked it. It turns out I was good at music. I had a good ear for it, so I started learning how to play the trumpet better. But baseball was something I'd played since I was 6 years old, so I played baseball all the way through college. I loved playing baseball, and I had this identity crisis where how could you be in the band and also play like varsity baseball? It just didn't jive. And I had this moment, I was a sophomore in high school, where I thought all my friends were making fun of me in one area and all my friends hated me in the other area. And I felt like I had to decide. And I decided I'm not going to decide. I'm not going to let other people tell me that I can't have friends in both areas. I wasn't going to let other people dictate my identity for me. And now that thread of that identity piece really carries with me forever because when I went into high school, my band director called me up and said, "Why did you quit?" Because I was a first chair on trumpet. I mean, it wasn't like I practiced a lot, but I loved it that much. I was just passionate about it. She said, why'd you quit? I said, I don't want to be in the marching band. I mean, it was bad enough I was in the band, but I don't want to be in the marching band. I mean, now that's a uniform and summer practice and stuff that you just don't want to do. I don't want to give up my summer to do something I don't want to do. I want to go to the football game and not play. She said, I tell you what, we need you there. We only have 45 people. If you don't like it, then the magic words, you can quit. Perfect. I'll quit. So I decided I'll give it a shot. I loved it so much. I mean, it was some of my best friends in my life. In fact, the dean of students at Purdue is one of my best friends. He and I were in the marching band together at Norwalk High School, and we presented conferences together, and we're both not, really old enough to be in the positions that we're in. We got lucky. And he, it's just nice to have those connections. But then my junior year, so I played the bass guitar. I play guitar too. And my band director said, well, our only tuba player graduated, so we need you to play tuba. Right? So, I mean, it just gets worse. So, one, I don't think I'm heavy enough. I don't think I have enough acne. I thought, I'm not doing that. I mean, my life's hard enough being a trumpet player in the marching band, and you can't make me do it. He said, I tell you what, if you don't like it, you can quit. So, all right. So I decided I'm going to give it a try, and I loved it because it was like playing the bass. I mean, who knew? So I really liked it so much. So then here comes my senior year of high school. Now, given my dad delivers bread, my mom's a waitress, my brother's an electrician. Actually, he's not even an electrician at this point. My grandparents are tool and die makers. I mean, we don't have a college at Norwalk, Ohio, within 60 miles of where we're from. And most of the students I'm graduating with, if they do go to college, I don't know, I really wasn't probably friends with them. I just didn't run in that circle. It's a good group of people. It's just we don't have that sort of. Here it's normal. I mean, everyone goes to college around here. Not everybody, but it's like you're sitting in a room of really educated people, and even if you didn't go to school, you probably made it pretty well in life. But there, just wasn't the same sort of influence. I had one family, because of the marching band, that really took me in, and they took me to one Ohio State football game my senior year. Now, it's November of my senior year. If any of you have children, you probably didn't take them to their first college visit halfway through the fall of their senior year. Probably happened a little earlier than that. And this wasn't a college visit. This was me saying, no, I don't want to go to the Ohio State football game. I said, well, you should really see it because they have a lot of tubas. I thought, I mean, it really doesn't take much to sell me on stuff. I mean, really, you have to get me to think that I have freedom. That's the ticket. So I went to this one Ohio State football game, and I saw everything. I saw the whole thing. I walked in that skull session. It's this big concert they have before the game. I walked in. I saw the military uniforms. Everything was in sync. There was tradition. Some person was sitting next to me pointing out all these things that were happening. And I came home that night, and I said, Mom and Dad, I'm going to college. Where? Ohio State. Oh my God. I mean, it's not just bad enough. I'm gonna say I'm going to Bowling Green. That's close, at least closer. They can imagine that. Ohio State. That's in Columbus. We don't go to Columbus. So I said I'm going to go, and they didn't take me seriously until I spray painted 5-yard lines in our backyard. And I started running, and I was a lazy kid. So I started running, I started exercising, I started driving to Columbus 2 days a week, 200 miles round trip. I was giving up my evenings. I was doing anything I could because I wanted to be in the band there. I thought, I'm not going to play football there, clearly. This is not in my cards, but I want to do the Ohio State thing. And I worked my butt. Somehow, something happened, and to this day, I can't even tell you. I couldn't transplant this if I wanted to. I couldn't make this up. And I decided that I was going to go to Ohio State. It was 1999. That was my freshman year of college, and I made the band that year, and I made it as an alternate for my first couple of games. Now, if you know anything about the Ohio State marching band, they have like the dotting the I, the Script Ohio stuff. They have the military. If you've seen the YouTube videos that they make now, well, that's all good, but they also have alternates. So every game, only 192 members of the 226-piece band marches or performs. So they have people that start. And every Saturday, you get critiqued on how well you did on Saturday, and your music check was on Friday, and you get all your new music on Mondays. And you have 4 days to memorize 10 new songs in their entirety. Now, you're talking like Dvorak's New World Symphony and Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture, and you name the song, we've played it. And you have to memorize this stuff by Friday. You got 2 hours a day to do it, and then someone will stand in front of you and you play everything. And if you miss more than 3 notes, you're out. You're done. You lose your spot. And if you do that 3 times, you're completely done and you're never back in. So these alternates will take your spot, or they'll challenge your spot every Monday. So I made that. I made it as an alternate. I beat somebody into the next week, and I never looked back. 4 years later, we went to the national championship game. That was the 2003 Miami, Ohio, and Tempe, Arizona. And I got to dot the I at that game. So if you're the Script Ohio thing where you're dotting the I. So I came from this little high school where my band director said, "Are you serious? You're not going to do that," to getting to dot the I, which is the highest honor you can achieve in the marching band. I even have a championship ring from Jim Tressel. So when I came to Akron in 2012, Jim Tressel was also hired to be our vice president, and that was a riot because here I was kind of completing the circle of the Ohio State to Akron transition with somebody that I was very fond of and very near and dear to. So that was how I got to college, but I'll tell you this, I didn't have a great GPA. I mean, I was lucky I got in. I had a 2.6 best in high school. I raised it up to, I mean, I don't know how I got into Ohio State. In fact, I couldn't get in there today, which is, I bought low and I sold high for you finance people. So, all that is to say is that, I realized quickly that you can, everything is your choice. I mean, the difference between you and the person that you could be is an email. It's going to a football game. It's painting lines in your backyard. It's doing something so small. And we make it out to be like you have to go to school for 4 or 5 years and get this degree, and that's going to change everything. No, that's sure that gives you the ability to do the things you want to do. But really, it's your attitude. It's the things that are outside that class that's going to make you. It's going to make you the difference between the person you are and the person you could be. And so when we approach our work, when I started the Leadership Center down at Ohio University, we did it in the way that said, we want you to start one, and I had no idea what we were doing. And 4 years later, we were winning national awards. We took the approach that we're going to develop more employable, more work-ready more positive attitude, better team playing students, people that are ready to work, people that have the skills already because they're graduating from whatever university, and they're going to come in to wherever you need them to be. I don't care if it's a nonprofit, I don't care if it's a business, I don't care if they're starting their own business, I don't care if it's a school and they're becoming teachers, because I want them to graduate and realize that they are capable of anything. And the whole idea of putting them in boxes like we tend to, like if you are a marketing major, you can only do marketing things. Not right. Because, I mean, the new inductee, Dan, I forget your last name, sorry, you did it all, art engineering to global sales. I mean, marketing, you did almost everything, and you have 2 degrees, and you can't put you into a silo. I couldn't even figure out what your major would be. It's something like we want people that are able to say, I can take that challenge on. So Smuckers gave us this gift. Ooh. I'm pushing the wrong button. This is all me.
James is going to help you.
Oh, we're good. I think I got it back. There we go.
Yeah, you want the left and right arrow.
I never said I was smart. All right, Smuckers, they gave us $1 million gift. In fact, the state of the university is that they just gave us another $1 million. So at the end of the day, we did a good job in 4 years. They believed in what we were doing. They saw the results of what we're doing. And they gave us another $1 million. And then part of that, it was a base plus funding. So they have to, the university has to kick in another $400,000 through fundraising initiatives. So we saved up about $300,000 of that $1 million. So we're going into this next couple of years with about $2 million in reserves to go into to continue on the good work we're doing. We owe a lot to Smuckers. They ask very little in return for what we do. Put this logo on some posters is what they ask of us. Now, we do send them interns, we do send them people, of course. It's a fantastic place to work, and we love them dearly. And I'm not just saying that. I try to take students there all the time. Actually, I brought with us today Brenna Mack, who is one of our seniors at the University of Akron. I met Brenna her first year, and she's going to speak to you a little bit about what we do. The rest of my presentation, I want to just show you what it is exactly that we do. There we go. So the question is, why leadership? And quite frankly, leadership, because employability is the #1 goal of what we do. We want to make our students have the best return on investment possible. Right now, 90% of our students get jobs within 6 months at the University of Akron College of Business. The national rate is around 85%. So that's pretty good. We're exceeding the expectations there, but we want 100%. Our College of Engineering has a 100% placement rate, and the difference really is they have a cooperative. So we need to get students into more internships, and that's it. So if you know of internship opportunities that pay, because we'll only direct them to the paid ones, because our students come from a background where they have a good job at maybe Taco Bell or the dining hall, and they can't see themselves giving up that job because they're paying their own way through school. I identify with these students. I paid every dime of my schooling because I had to figure it out on my own. I get what they're up against, so we try to advocate for good paid internships. It doesn't matter how much, because once the employer does that, we see a big streamline, a pipeline of students coming in. But it's the #1 skill that employers are scanning resumes for. It's the one that they're having interviews on. And most times, once they get the interview, they're asking, tell us about a time that you led a team. Tell us how you work in teams. Tell us how you solve problems. Tell us how you give a presentation. In fact, we're judging your presentation right now. Give us a presentation for what you're doing. And so we like to give them real experiences. So leadership to us is not something that we just say, hey, I'm going to sit you in a classroom and teach you about ethics. You can't do that. You can't teach somebody ethics by putting them in the classroom. Sure, they can identify and describe ethical dilemmas, but they can't say that because of your leadership program that they now are better at making ethical decisions. We have a world where we need people that can make more ethical decisions. And I think we'd all agree. We need a world where people can serve each other as their first priority and do business as their second, and know that they're going to do that. And that's the fundamental belief of our institute. And this is our key attributes. So one, our university's only comprehensive academic and co-curricular program, meaning we take both classes and workshops and seminars, and we put them into the same program, and that we're the only ones at our university doing that. Second, we're experiential. So everything we do has experiential components. So if we do something, it's got an assessment or some activity, or we have a 1 credit hour leadership course where instead of just saying, here's your emotional intelligence, we take them to 1 day with the U.S. Army. So these students show up in the College of Business lobby. They kind of have an idea what they're getting into. We put them on a 45-person bus. We bus them out to Camp Ravenna Joint Military Training Compound, because I don't have to take our students to China to have them, get them a cross-cultural experience. If you've ever been around the Army or the Armed Forces, it's a different culture. It's a different language. It's a different way of cutting your hair. It's a different dress code, and they're sharp. But it's unnerving for students to be around a culture they're not comfortable in, and that's the point. Because once they get around a culture they're not comfortable in, they start seeing themselves differently in that environment. So everything we do as experiential component, high impact practices mean that everything we do has a community benefit to it. So we help our students, we give our students grants if they reach a certain level to do work that can impact our community. We've started community gardens programs, global trips. We've started, Brennan will tell you about her project coming up. We have augmented reality programs. Everything we can do has a community impact. We've had financial literacy program with Bucknell and East High Schools. Industry-based means that we have practitioners, people that have been in finance, HR, project management, PMI certified people that teach project management seminars. We have people that come in from Northwestern Mutual. Industry practitioners are people that come and teach the leadership things that their companies train in themselves. So our program is not watered down for our students. It's something that when they graduate, they're going to be doing the same thing, and they come back and tell us, I already have done this, so you should hire me. I'm already ready to be in your company. And finally, we have a breadth of range. We don't just work with college of business students. We work with students from all around the university. 1,750 students we saw through our institute last year, and 65% of them were in the college of business. The other 35% were not. They were everywhere from CAST to arts and sciences to fine arts, music, counseling, physical therapy, diabetics. So we see a lot of different students, and we welcome them just like any others. So this is the three major components that feed our comprehensive program. Our core competency is our comprehensive leadership program. The three big things are leadership development groups of 4 to 6 people that get together weekly, and they have a discussion about different leadership principles. It's a identity building exercise. Leadership course with the Army at the bottom that feeds. We have 210 students a year that take that course, and it's not mandatory. No student has to take that course, which is a big win for us because students want to be in that course. Imagine a class where students want to be in it. And then the Global Leadership Initiative, which we're going to talk mostly about that today because it's something that has the most breadth of the biggest footprint for marketing for us. But I don't want to give you all the idea that we're a travel agency. It just seems that we catch students in a different way because we know that international experiences are one of the most marketable things they could have on their resume. And so we developed a leadership program that takes place in different countries that allows them for 1 week of their time to focus more on leadership, and they do that leadership development through a service project. So it is not a missions trip. I have nothing against missions trip, but we're not there to, and I'm saying this kind of tongue-in-cheek, we're not there primarily to help people. Going to a country and thinking that in 1 week you're going to save people is a noble and good cause, but you have 1 week and you're a college student. So we don't want them Facebooking about how I'm reading to kids right now, but you're actually Facebooking it. Or taking a selfie. And we see this all the time. So we compare ourselves to other students and we realize that we take 1 week to really go through ethical decision making, haggling prices for the good of why am I saving $5? What does $5 get me that it's going to get the person I'm haggling this with? And help them understand what these situations might be. So we do good work for people, but we're not there to save people. We're there to build students that come back and are very passionate about serving their own community back at Akron, and I think Brendan will tell you an example of that. This is what our program looks like. It's a 3-tiered comprehensive leadership program. Not to overwhelm, but we start students one level at a time. Level 1 is all about personal development. Level 2 is about team and interpersonal development. Level 3 is an advanced level where if they achieve that level, they get up to $2,000 of money from the Smucker Company to advance their project. So we give them seed money to do an entrepreneurial initiative that can launch something that's real. And Brendan will give you an example of hers. And then, so these are some pictures of what we do. And up in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see students at the Army course. This is where they're doing their actual team problem solving. Now, the next day of class, they go in for an 8-hour day, and they do emotional intelligence exercises, self-assessments, but they're using their actual problem solving scenarios to reflect on how they really behave, not what they hypothetically would behave on. And more often than not, we just had a student get a top 10 internship at Charles Schwab, and they said of the 3 interviews they had, the only thing they really talked about was that class. because they asked her all about how do you solve problems, and she actually went through all these courses that she did. To the upper right-hand corner, you'll see we have alumni at the University of Akron that are under the age of 30 that work at Virgin Galactic, they work at Google, they work at Infer at Silicon Valley, they work at Walt Disney Imagineering. So we bring these students back in to help our students understand that you go to the University of Akron, you can do anything you want. And if you don't believe me, then I'll just bring in the alumni that are doing anything they want to do. They work at Apple, they're designing all the modules for the behind the phones. So these are the students we're producing, but we need to do a better job telling our stories. So the first day they come into school, we introduce these to these 27, 28-year-old people that are doing very well. Bottom right-hand corner, you'll see more Army Corps stuff. Leadership development groups to the left. In the middle, you see our first trip to Haiti. We took a group to Haiti in December 2014 as part of a leadership project. Now, who wants to go to Haiti? You know, it's really not where students desire to go. They want to go to, Italy or Spain or Europe. We decided we can take students to the Dominican Republic and Haiti, get 2 countries, 2 cultures, 2 languages, 2 currencies, 2 time zones in a 1-week trip. And that was started by the young man in the middle. His name is Zeke Isaac. Now, Zeke is from a school in Haiti, in Wanamit, Haiti. In fact, the director of the school is actually the head of the Rotary in Wanamit, Haiti. And Zeke started this leadership project where he was able to take his money from the Smucker Institute, where he completed everything, and he got his trip paid for. It was like just under $2,000. And he said, what if we took people to Haiti and showed them what this was like and what we could do there from a social enterprise perspective. And we took 14 people there in our first year. It went very well. Students reported that the most unsafe that they felt in the whole trip was a flight from Cleveland, Ohio to Newark, New Jersey. So the trip is remarkably safe, remarkably good. We're far away from any of the stuff in Port-au-Prince. We're in the northern part of Haiti. And this trip has become so successful that we now took 60 people last year, and that was just the second year. We had 3 trips. We're working on our 4th trip in January and our 5th trip next May. And the students all came back, and last night they had their first meeting of Zips for Haiti, which they've had actually for a year now. Their listserv is 106 people strong. They're raising money, they're selling coffee, and they're doing their own social enterprise, and Brenna is actually one of the officers of that program. So there's a lot of things happening. We challenge every student to do sustainable initiatives. We have TEDx University of Akron, which was started as a leadership project. In fact, on September 27th, we have TEDx Moonshot, which is advancing the next frontier of innovation within Northeastern Ohio. And that's something, if you go to TEDxUAkron.com, you can find tickets to. You'll hear it on NPR radio, but that's a student-led initiative. So imagine the students that come out of these interviews, where you have the normal student that says, I'm the president of an organization, I was in charge. So what does that mean? It means I led people. How'd you lead them? I was in charge. I sent out emails and stuff. I mean, that's really what we hear. Our students are saying, well, I took a project, I took this funds, and I created something, and here's what I created, and here's how it's lasting. And here's what I learned from that. I learned that I can fail over and over and over, and every time I fail, I overcome that failure. And in school, we don't get to do that too much, do we? Because it's based off of A, B, or C. We teach students how to fail and overcome failure. So with that, I just want to introduce Miss Brenna Mack, who comes to us from Minneapolis, Minnesota. She was recruited here to play volleyball. She's a varsity volleyball player. Her sister, Callie, also goes to school here. My hardest job is picking which students I want to bring to these things, because I think it's important that you hear from them. And Brenna can tell her story and tell her about her experiences, and you're welcome to ask us questions at the end. So, Brenna?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. First, I would like to thank Kevin for giving me the opportunity to share my experiences with all of you today. It's really given me the chance to reflect on the last few years and really reflect on how my leadership has evolved. I wouldn't be here today where I am without Kevin's guidance and his encouragement and friendship over the years. I'm really grateful to have learned from such an incredible mentor. But before I kind of share with you how my leadership has evolved, I would like to give you all a little bit of background of where I came from. So like Kevin mentioned, I'm from a small town close to Minneapolis, Minnesota. And to be completely honest with you, I was pretty confident with my leadership abilities all throughout high school. I was a part of a mentoring program for underclassmen. I was the captain of my volleyball team since sophomore year. I was involved as an official in our DECA chapter, which is a business club in high school. And I say all of these things not to boast, but because I think it's important to point out that going into college, I was really confident with my leadership abilities, but I've learned so much about leadership and myself as a result of the Leadership Institute and all of the opportunities I've been given because of that. So it all really started one day in the fall semester of my sophomore year, and I was in a meeting with Kevin, and I can't remember exactly what the meeting was about, but at one point he asked me if I would be interested in going to Haiti. And I was like, all right. And he basically explained how Zeke had put on this project as his final project in the leadership designation program to bring a group of students back to his hometown in Wanamouth to help serve the school that he grew up at. And that was really all Kevin needed to say. I was like, where do I sign up? Like, this sounds like an incredible experience. So I called my mom later that night, Mom, I'm going to Haiti. She's like, what? And I was like, well, I'm gonna put all of this opportunity and see what it's worth. So that was definitely the hands down, like the best experience I've had, best decision I've made while I've been at Akron. Just to kind of show you some of the pictures, it was hands down the best group of students and best team I've ever been a part of. Wide range of people, different majors, but we worked so well together as a team, and it was a great experience. We did service projects, we painted. One of the greatest parts is just hanging out with the kids, getting to play volleyball with them and soccer and do different things. We got to hike up La Citadelle, which was an incredible fort on a mountain and most picturesque and beautiful place I've ever seen. And then just some more pictures of the kids, but definitely a life-changing experience. And one of the most important lessons I learned there was, as Kevin kind of mentioned before, and he's coined the term, being comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. And I think that that's a lesson that I can really carry with me for the rest of my life. This trip, though, itself wasn't the most life-altering thing, but it became a catalyst in my leadership journey. So upon returning from Haiti, I became a co-founder in a student organization called Zips for Haiti, which Kevin mentioned earlier. And it's really essentially given me the opportunity to run a small nonprofit business. Saying my leadership has been tested during this time is an understatement, but I'm proud to say that our contingent has grown to almost 100 members, and we're on our way to raising enough money to bring a Haitian student to come study here at the University of Akron. So I'm really proud to lead a group of students that is wholeheartedly committed to leaving things better than they found them, which in my eyes is one of the truest forms of leadership. So the craziest thing, though, is that everything that has transpired because of this first trip to Haiti is just one small tangent, a part of the Leadership Institute and an opportunity that I've been giving. I've also learned invaluable lessons during the various seminars, networking events, and different peer groups that I've been a part of because of the Leadership Designation Program, which is the program you go through in the Institute. And these things have helped shape and enhance my skills-based leadership, my emotional-based leadership, and also shown me how to manage or effectively manage ambiguity. The best thing about my experience, though, is that it's really come full circle. The next opportunity I have to challenge my leadership is for my final project in the Leadership Designation Program, which occurs this coming April. And I plan on bringing a group of 19 of my peers to Auckland, New Zealand to volunteer at this event called the World Masters Games, and we'll be volunteering at the Paralympic events. So it's basically the world's largest multi-sporting event, and there's over 25,000 athletes that will be participating and from over 100 countries. So I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to lead my peers on an adventure of such scale and impact. So what you probably all understand by now is that my involvement in the Institute for Leadership Advancement has played a huge role in shaping who I am as a leader today. The skills that I've learned have undoubtedly translated into every aspect of my life, my athletics, my academics, my internships, and my personal relationships. However, what you might not know is that the Institute doesn't just prepare you as a leader. It instills a way of life in students. It encourages innovation, compassion, and it makes us want to leave a lasting impact on the world around us. So having this mindset as I look ahead to my future after school, my main goal is really to find deeper meaning through business by pursuing my passion to help others and ultimately impacting the world in a positive way. Thank you.
My favorite part about my job is that I had no idea what she was going to say. And I think if you can't produce something that's organic, and and Brenna's very organic, and her sister, her teams, the people, and what she didn't tell you was that she sold her New Zealand trip out in 48 hours. So we're taking 19 people. Actually, I don't know if you know Sean Christie or not. He's the former president of Rotary in Akron, and he does a lot of good work with the district. I mean, he's actually going to be one of the project mentors with us on this trip, so he's going to come along with us. Even pulling up here, Brett and I were talking about what the purpose of Rotary is, and why this is something that we aspire to for. And even though we might not be in Rotary, I think that we share a common vision for what we do. Zeke is the young man from Haiti, by the way. He graduated from a school in Haiti. He was lucky enough to have a sponsor, and the sponsorship allowed him to come to Ohio. And actually, his host parents live in Stowe, but they go to church here in Hudson. And you might have heard from Zips for Haiti if you go to church here over in the Hudson church, and the one right off of 303 there. And Christ the King. And so it was a great opportunity. But Zeke just finished his master's in tax, and he's getting his MIS degree now at the same time. And he just sat for the CPA and passed the first round. And by the way, his undergrad's in human resources. So it's amazing to see what he's doing. And so what these students are now doing is they're raising enough money to sponsor a student at the school that they visit 2 times a year to come to the University of Akron. So they will be the first organizational sponsor. The level of business skills that these students are able to employ by doing the work of running their own organizations, designing trips, networking with airlines and designing these things that have budgets and scenarios. This is real experience, so this is what we want to encourage our people to do. And we invite any of you to be a part of that as mentors, as people that come and talk to our students, as any way you can share your experience. That's what we learn through. So we appreciate your time, and we're happy to answer any questions while we have a few minutes.
Brenna, could you tell us a little bit about the financial part of the Auckland trip? How did you work that out? 48 hours is amazing. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, our biggest thing was, for me, I've always wanted to travel abroad, and it's tough when you have a lot to spend. It's expensive. So when I was putting on the project, my biggest thing was that I really wanted to reach out and try to get some corporate sponsors to try to help alleviate the costs of the travelers. And what we came down to is we started a little over $3,000. So with budgeting for everything, the trip was going to be a little over $3,000. But then my sister's helping me with the project. She helped me work through it, and we reached out to certain people, and we got the trip down to under $3,000 to try to help alleviate those costs. And everyone signed up for closer to $4,000, but they actually haven't found out yet. We have a meeting next week to tell them about how much we've saved. But yeah, just that fundraising effort to try to help get those costs down for the rest of the students.
Quick question about the program. So do the students also take a business core then as well, or is it?
Oh, yeah. That's a great question. Do the students take a business core? Yes, they do. So we have 7 credit hours of classes in our institute, but the students also are taking a business core. So we have 2 types of CBA students. We call it CBA. We have direct admits, and then we also have students that are kind of pre-CBA. So they come in, and their business core is like Principles of Accounting 1, Principles of Accounting 2, Financial Accounting 1. They'll take Managing People and Principles of Marketing. So that's their core. If you're a direct admit, then you might have already done pre-college work. And so once they get into the institute, they have to take our leadership course. They have to do a 3 credit hour internship. So that's where we like to have companies that pay, because they do a paper, an experiential project on that. And then the project that Brenna is doing either will be their honors project, a substitute for their honors project, or it will be what we call a 3 credit hour leadership experience project. And so they write a 60-page paper for this project as well, and it outlines their strategy, their plan, and everything. So they learn at the end. They essentially have what you would consider a business plan at the end. Thank you. That's a great question.
Hey, Kevin, over here.
Hey.
This question's for both you and Brenna. Outside of the University of Akron, in the area, what do you think the best group or opportunity to develop leadership skills is?
That's a loaded question. Rotary.
But really, is that? I mean,
that's a good question. Do you have a thought on that? I can make one up.
One of the organizations that I recently got to be a part of is called The Know, organization, which is the Network of Knowledgeable Women. And that was a great opportunity for me because kind of like this, it's a bunch of women that are professionals and they've really been able to share their experiences with me, and I've gotten to learn a lot about leadership from what they've gone through over their careers. So for me, that was a really great opportunity to learn about leadership in the community apart from the school itself.
I think that anything that you can do to get real experience is a great leadership program. And I can name a dozen leadership programs I think are fantastic. You know, our core competency is different than the core competency of, let's say, Leadership Akron. It's a great leadership program. It's a very networking-based program, very exposure-based program, so you see and hear different sort of philosophies of leadership. And then you might do an action-oriented project, but the types of people who are in those programs have a higher developed skill set. So, you know, different contexts. So our students, we have a hybrid of skills. So any student doing the Leadership Experience Project has to go through a project management course seminar. But you know, if you're in Leadership Akron, you might have been a project manager for 10 years. I think that the U.S. Army, I think the U.S. Air Force, I think that any armed forces is a fantastic leadership experience. I would recommend. I've been to I have my own Army uniform. I've been to Fort Knox. I've built single rope bridges. I've been to Fort Lewis Joint Base McChord out in Olympia, Washington, Fort Benning. I've done those things. I've never been in the Army, so I guess. You know, if you're passionate about what you're doing, I think any leadership activity that has a service component is a fantastic one because it allows you to employ all your skills for the good of society, and it allows you to develop passion and purpose. And a purpose-driven leader is by far a better leader. You know, so if your organization, I was teasing at the beginning, but I mean, if your organization, which I know your organization is, develops purpose within your people, and then you have and you influence, if people here are willing to look at their own leadership identity and willing to change it. I mean, my 97-year-old grandfather said to me this past July, Kevin, if I would have known at 80 what I know now, I would have done it all differently. That's self-awareness, you know, and you can't have a better gift in this world than self-awareness and your willingness to adapt and change and be comfortable being uncomfortable. So,
Thank you.
Just a couple of comments. Number one, you know, Akron U's been kind of bashed in the last couple of years, but even in today's paper, there's some real positive news in the Plain Dealer in regards to the interim president and the good work that's going on and the great programs that you're part of. So congratulations on that. The second is that Dan Wanders is a Hudson graduate.
Dan's a good friend of mine.
Heavyweight wrestler and also dotted the I.
Yeah, he was actually he was one of my first-year students. We called them rookies then, but I can't call them that anymore. No, Dan actually, Richard Wanders is, I actually ran a marathon, the Cleveland Marathon with Dan a few years ago. So to your point about the UA, I mean, President Wilson's been great. You know, former President Scarborough, he's a good man, you know, and they were good people. They had some trouble with stuff. I can't defend any, I'm not here to do that, but I'll tell you this. In a university, you have the problem of, if you're a business person, you can control what your employees do. In a university, you can't really control the quality or product. It's hurting cat. I mean, you can't, like, if I take a class and the professor's not good, you can't control the quality of your product. It's the way, it's not Akron. It's not Cleveland State. It's not Ohio State. This is a higher education from the days of the monks issues where the faculty have their own thing. And I mean, most faculty are fantastic, but if you're the president, you can't control the quality of your product and you can't control the source of income. And you have a CEO type problem. And I think, you know, I'm not saying that couldn't have been handled, but I think the positivity campaign, what we're trying to do is highlight all the great things we're doing. And you know, quite honestly, our lives haven't changed very much. We had some layoffs and some things, but the quality of what we're able to do. And here's my bottom line: Smuckers would not have given another $1 million to us had they really, because they've been on the inside with that. So yeah, we have work to do, absolutely. But we also need our community support because we are the community's university. So.
Do you have?
Sorry.
All right. Let me, I'm sure all the other departments at Akron would love to graduate folks with better leadership skills. Do you pull from all departments into your program?
Mm-hmm.
Is it mostly business or?
Mostly business. Our core competency is in the business college. For example, Brenna is a sales and marketing major, but I have 2 dietetic students working on a leadership project right now. They're trying to develop a University of Akron-based food bank in partnership with Canton Akron Food Bank, because there's actually a research study that showed how many students at the university, and not just Akron, are at Kent State as well, that don't have food. Like, they're literally giving up all their resources. They refuse to take out loans because that's kind of the culture, is like, I'm going to do it my way, and the grit, and that's fantastic. But they're going hungry. So it's something that I can't identify with. But there's been this big study, so these students are trying to do something about it. So that's an example. We've had exercise physiologic students that have graduated. I have actually the data from, actually we have an engineering cohort too. So we have a group of 40 engineers that are going through our program as well. So, great question.
Does the Institute have a corporate program?
Does it have a corporate? No, but we'd love to. In fact, so we have kind of like an Amazon problem where, remember 9 years ago when Amazon only sold one thing? Remember what that was? Books. They sold one thing. And so then at what point do they start, what do they sell now? Everything, right? So the problem was they started selling everything before you knew they sold everything. Even though they were designed to sell everything. They weren't just designed to sell books. Books was only because Jeff Bezos said they were non-perishable and easy to ship. That was it. He didn't love books that much. And so they did that. Now we have the same issue where we are built off of corporate models. The same leadership training I might do for a headquarters of a major company is the same leadership training I'm giving to our students in the same way around. But the issue is that we have to have Amazon Prime. We need to have that one service that changes the way our consumers see us. So we tried, and we are working on having a global leadership initiative for corporate entities. So we can take people to Jamaica. I have a video I wasn't able to show, but we have a trip to Jamaica, a trip to Haiti, a trip to Italy as well. And we can do those things for business leaders as well. We just haven't broken into that market yet, just for staff resources, but that's actually one of our 5-year goals, is to do that. And I think we would do it very well. So, thank you.
Actually, looking in the other direction. So being on the school board, and we have our superintendent here, any thoughts about developing this program for high schools? I know in Hudson we have actually a leadership program called Leader in Me that starts at the younger grade, so it's been a real focus of the schools. So I didn't know if possibly developing some programs that reach younger.
Absolutely. You know, I think that's not, you know, obviously with a small dip of, a big dip in enrollment this next year, the university is channeling most of its resources into high school programs. Now, the issue I have with it, just speaking plainly, is that you know, you can go talk and sell your product, but I don't think we're actually salespeople. I mean, I think we can sell by just sharing our work. And if we had the capacity with this new gift, I think our first goal is going to do revenue generation, because we need to last outside the gift. So that means more of a corporate base. But my passion area is really what you're talking about. I know Hoban just started a leadership program itself, and there would be a great connection for us. We need to grow our staff size by 1 person, which is in the plans for us. But you know, we're kind of in a supply and demand situation where if we had that demand, it would inform our strategic planning process. So what I'm saying is that if folks were to bring that to us, it would be something I would involve our dean at, because it's something in the cards for us, is where we want to head, but we need a push to make us react to it. So absolutely. Thank you.